Hi, I'm Awele, your host for Art Talk. Art Talk puts the artist and the art front and center. Thank you for joining the conversation with thought leaders and brilliant theater makers in our global community. We'll start with our panel and moderator, and then open the conversation to audience interaction. Feel free to ask a burning question or share comments, and let us know what resonates with you. First up, actor Will Dow. Will Dow is a Bronx-raised, San Francisco-based performer who misses the communion of live theater. In a world where our decisions are increasingly shaped by algorithms, he can't wait to share space and stories with those who have different lived experiences so we can learn and grow from each other. Next up, actor Jessica Ko. As an AAPI artist witnessing the increase of violence towards our community, as well as the moral reckoning our society has been facing as we collectively battle a worldwide pandemic, the message of Snow resonates more deeply than ever. We must act and speak out, because whether we're aware of it or not, our very existence is a political act that can be used for change. As Do Yi says, do not make the excuse that natural disasters occur every generation. The will of one woman can make the blue sky repent. Make the world right for your children. Make sure no child needs wings, or you may wake to find your own bones and flesh mutilated by the world you turned your back on, and have no choice but to mourn her and the chance you missed to fight for justice for every being, here now and yet to visit this floating, fleeting world. And our dramaturg, Christine Mok. Theorists and philosophers have spent quite a bit of time talking about the closeness between theater and death, the experience of live actors living and breathing and dying just a little in front of us. This may be why theater gives us a space to imagine otherwise, and in doing so, to celebrate and mourn. And we're going to have to mourn this pandemic. The current COVID death toll is 581,573 people. Roughly 581,000 people have died in the US due to COVID-19. As we get vaccinated and life starts to get back to its pre-pandemic semblances, we will need to reckon with the statistic, because 500,000 people is not a statistic. Each number is a life lost, a story, a person who is loved and cared for, and who loved and cared for others. As a nation, we will need to mourn. Without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to the moderator and welcome everyone.
Thank you, Awale, for the introductions, and thank you to our producer, Ken Savage, for bringing us all together. I'm thrilled to be here with Will and Jessica to do this arts talk and to talk about Snow in Midsummer. So I'm going to give a little bit of information about Snow, and then I just want to sort of turn it over. And because, I'm sure having both Will and Jess here to talk about the play and to talk about the process of the play and talk about their own processes as actors is really what you all are here for. I know some of you have seen the show. Some of you have seen it live in 2018. Some of you have seen it for the first time streaming. Some of you are back for more double happiness in order to seeing it both live and streaming. And then there are probably those of you who are just curious joining us today. So I'm going to try not to spoil things too much. So Snow in Midsummer is the contemporary adaptation by acclaimed playwright Francis Yachu Cowig of the 13th century classic by Guan Han Qing, The Injustice to Do-yi That Moved Heaven or Earth, or Snow in Midsummer. This play was part of the RSC's Chinese translations project. It was actually the very first commission. It premiered in the UK at Stratford-upon-Avon. And then the OSF production that is videotaped and streaming, that's from 2018, and that was the US premiere. As an adaptation, it really sort of took, Francis worked with the translator Gigi Chang, who wrote a very sort of literal translation. And from that, Francis spun this contemporary reimagining about this main character, Do Yi, who is about to be executed for a murder that she did not commit. And that widow vows to prove her innocence and prophesies ecological disaster. 3 years later, New Harmony is ravaged by drought and plagued by locusts, and yet still the bars are open and the factory workers eat, drink, and gossip because someone new has just come into town. Tian Yun Lin, a self-made businesswoman who arrives to buy New Harmony's ailing factories from handsome Zhang. Now, handsome Zhang cannot wait to leave town and marry his lover, Rocket Wu, played by Will Dow. And with so much change and possibility, who cares that it's Ghost Month when the boundary between the living and the dead is thin, and it is inauspicious to embark on new business ventures that might attract the attention of restless ghosts? No one follows the old ways in New China, though maybe they should. When her daughter Fei Fei becomes a conduit for Jessica Ko Do Yi's vengeful ghost, Tian Yun must solve past and present mysteries to expose the injustices Do Yi suffered before her curse destroys every single living thing. Now, Snow in Midsummer is a ghost story, a murder mystery, a detective story, and a post-apocalyptic supernatural adventure, all in the pursuit of justice, hope, and future possibility. If you're curious about how it is that Tian Yun saves the day or not, and the kind of vengeance Do Yi is able to write or wrought, or what happens to our lovers, Rocket Wu and handsome Zhang, you're going to have to tune in. So I'm really, really thrilled to be here today to talk about this play, to talk about the process, to be here with Will, Rocket, and Jessica Do Yi. We spent an entire summer making this. And so it's really, really lovely to be here today, this evening, to talk to y'all about this play. So one of the sort of interesting things or kooky things that when a play is actually up and streaming is that, when you're in a play, you don't actually get to see it. Yes, there's sort of like down times where Will and Jessica could, during tech, hang out in the house, which was usually like where I and the playwright and the designers would hang out with all the snacks, yes. But because the production is streaming, this might be the first time you've gotten to see the play in its entirety. And so I thought, as just sort of a launching point to our conversation, if y'all could just talk a little bit about your experience of watching the play, the entire play, for the first time, as well as what it was like to watch yourself on screen.
That intro was amazing.
I know. You're hired for my biography. My God.
Just gonna carry you around. I mean, it was. Yeah, you're right. It was like the first time I've been able to watch everything in its entirety, especially because even though there were scenes that I wasn't in that I could have watched technically, but actually with the show, I wasn't able to watch it because I was too busy backstage doing these really crazy quick changes. Because, I mean, I don't want to give spoilers, but I would have a lot of different stages to my character, including full, like, wipe off of makeup, putting on more, like, crazy makeup, or, a full, costume changes, either like, and I would be running downstairs and then running back up, or, there's a quick change room in the backstage. And so, I didn't really get to see a lot of the show. And also that when I was on the stage, I couldn't really see what was happening behind me. Like that, well, one scene where like, it is just me on the stage, but then after a while, some people are like behind me, and then there's, kind of effects happening. When I saw that on the screen, I was like, oh, that's what's happening behind me. I was like, oh, this is a beautiful picture, like, oh, wow, the director really knew what he was doing. I love Justin, of course he did. But even to see like the design, like the lighting design, by Jane Cox, the beautiful sets. Like it was just really breathtaking to see all of it. It's in its entirety. I mean, for myself, watching myself, like it's kind of hard for me to watch myself because I'm always thinking about, seeing the things that I could have done that, or I could have done this more, or I did that in other performances. How come in this one I didn't? And so it's kind of hard to turn off that editor. But I love seeing everybody else's work. I just felt like it was so nuanced and beautiful and heartbreaking, and yeah.
Yeah, totally the same. We are our worst critic, and so like watching myself is my worst nightmare. But I did really enjoy seeing everyone else's work. Like just said, often we're backstage trying to like quickly get out of costume and change into something else, or just like getting ready for the next scene. So I don't often ever get to see the final production. So this is such a great opportunity for us as actors to see our colleagues work, especially the designers, Jess, that you brought up. Like we, at the top of every process, you'll sit around the table and every designer will get a chance to share their vision for the show. So you kind of understand it theoretically, but like you don't quite know how it all ties together. So to see the big picture, to see the full picture is just so incredible. My gosh, like like you understand you're working with um, master artists and geniuses, but to actually see the work, I'm just so grateful that we have this opportunity.
Yeah, the scale of the show is so like breathtaking that there's a way in which, the film version, the stream version, which is sort of like an archival version, um, you sort of see the vastness of the Bomer stage. And I love the way, Jessica, you're like, oh, there's stuff happening behind me. Like all kinds of stuff was occurring. And you're just like trying to be Do Yi giving her opening monologue, right?
Yeah.
So speaking of this Bomer stage, so one of the things that I think Jessica, you both like have like talked about this before on social media, and it was something that came up quite a bit while we were in the production and in process. But that Snow in Midsummer was the first all Asian American company on the Bomer stage, meaning on the biggest indoor space. And so I really wanted to sort of connect that and ask each of you to sort of what that means for you, having sort of experienced that, and also connect that perhaps with, what it means for you to be an Asian American theater artist, since it is AAPI, May is AAPI Heritage Month. So like this production, it is a landmark production. It is epic in any number of ways, both in terms of theme, but even just the sort of very fact of it as the first all Asian American company on the Bomer stage and your own experience in it. I would love to just invite you to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty special to realize because, there have been other all Asian cast. I mean, Will was in Viet Gone, I was in Hannah and the Dread Gazebo, but both of them were in the Thomas Theater, which is a smaller theater, which I love actually. I love playing in that theater. But to be able to have that distinction of also, yeah, being the first all Asian cast on the biggest stage, it was really an honor. And, I think for myself, I feel like no matter what stage I'm on, I'm aware of the fact that like my very existence on that stage is a political act, and just my body on stage as an Asian person in, on the American stage, in a country where, for the most part, a lot of people don't consider me American, or that this is a story that is part of the American theater. So to be able to do that on like such a big scale on the Bomer with everybody on stage with me, it really meant a lot to do that. Yeah, and especially now, I feel like it definitely resonates, especially with all the anti-Asian attacks that have been happening and are still continuing on today.
Yeah, and to add on to that, I was watching the show last night again with my husband, and he's sharing his thoughts, and then his point of reference were, for classics, are the works of the Greeks, and to be in Snow in Midsummer, which is like in and of itself a classic, but just from China, and to be able to redefine what classic means and to bring that to the Oregon Shakespeare Festival is such a revolutionary act. And I would love for that to happen more often, throughout the United States, where we really do examine what stories we do consider classics. I'm Chinese American. My family's Chinese from Vietnam, but like within those two cultures, there's so much rich um, uh, storytelling that I wish more Americans knew about. And I'm hoping that this is just the first of many more adaptations for Asian and Asian American stories to be told.
Yeah, I mean, that really resonates with me because right now I've been kind of really thinking about just in my own personal life about what it means to decolonize what I've learned,
Mm.
as a, actor, as a theater artist. And I don't know, I feel like what I've learned in school has been, yeah, Shakespeare, which I love, and, classical Western theater, basically, but not a lot of Eastern theater or just other world theater. And those are epics as well that, and such, just even just story wise, it's so rich, like, and just amazing stories to be mined that I think, definitely our American theater world could also benefit from,
Mhm.
Thank you for that, both of you. Will, I want to sort of continue on with sort of keep pushing this thing where, you talked about your own ethnic family background. But this is a play where one of the things that Frances, in terms of adapting the play, one of the adaptations that she makes is that the central romantic relationship in this play is a same-sex couple, Rocket Wu and Handsome Zhang. And in many ways, the most romantic lines from the original that actually Do Yi says to her dead husband is actually given over to the two of you, to Rocket and Handsome. And so I wonder, what was your experience, playing not just like a Chinese character, but a queer Chinese man?
Right. That was revolutionary for me because even though I am a queer Chinese man, I've never played one on stage. So that was my first role that I ever got to portray anyone even like remotely like myself. Which, being an actor, you think, why would you want to play yourself? But then when there are no opportunities and no stories about you, that actually makes it very revolutionary. And to be able to, share um, this love story, as you said, that central love story is between like two men, uh, two Asian men, which also is like a big deal. Because oftentimes when we see like, you know, uh, same-sex couples, it's usually, an Asian man paired with a white person typically. So to have two Asian men on stage together, that blew my mind. And I was really proud to be able to portray that love, as messy as it was, without giving too much away. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's one of my favorite scenes in the play is actually the scene in which are the scenes between the two of you. Though there's ways in which cosmically the two of you are like at crossroads. And so um, we can't give that part away.
Yeah.
But that this is something to definitely look out for. At the same time as we have this like queer romantic relationship, we also have these other relationships, which are basically between mothers and daughters and mothers and sons. So that the family relationships are the things that really drive the play forward. And one of the other sort of things that always happens when you're working in a production, just because you're like with each other all of the time, we all sort of become a family together, including, wait, Will, were you the one who organized the whitewater rafting?
Oh gosh, I'm sure I had a hand in it.
Yeah, no, Will was our unofficial but official like
Social.
activity, like social calendar director. I got up many hikes because of Will.
Yeah, I think I definitely got lost because of Will.
That sounds more like it. Yeah.
So given the sort of way that these like wonderful sort of joyful things that are both like the way in which an ensemble can be forged both on stage and in the rehearsal room, I'd love to hear like what your favorite memory of the rehearsal and tech process was. And this could be both like actually in rehearsal, but also just the like larger process writ large, because I feel like being able to eat Amy Kim Washke's like kimchi was like a real highlight for me.
I mean, that'll connect, make a group of people family, no matter what. Making
Food, right?
I know
eating
they
your
always say
food.
like, make sure you have an Asian person in your cast because they will bring you like to every rehearsal.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I would bring food all the time too. Like we would all bring, I mean, snacks. We had so many snacks at rehearsal.
Yeah.
Like Asian snacks. And I think I made like hot dog or something like that, or kimbap for like solal.
I mean, with this cast, you don't see it. Hopefully, you don't see it in this tape production. But we have a lot of, tricksters in our cast. I'm not gonna name James Ryan, but Moses Villarama. Come on. But yeah, it is a lot of fun. Gosh, I don't know if I can share stories without spoilers.
Yeah.
But let's just say that there are moments backstage that the audience will never see, where there's an opportunity for every night. James would post like a different picture that was just like hilarious. He would like make memes out of the show, basically.
Yeah, like paper memes. Like just
Yeah,
keep it
they
back.
were amazing. They were amazing. So and the play dives into pretty like heavy topics. So to have that levity backstage really just like helped us kind of keep ourselves grounded, or else by gosh, it would just like it's a hard, it stays with you, as an actor. You know, I'd like to say that it's easy to just like once we take off the costume that the role kind of dissolves with it, but sometimes that's not often, not always the case. So it's to have some levity backstage always helps. And there was a lot of that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I know even times when I was like, okay, I do need to concentrate. I'm about to do this really heavy scene. So Moses, please stop. James, please, Roman, okay, stop. But it's a lot of fun. And especially because, we had a little girl in our cast, Olivia, who is amazing. And honestly,
Amazing.
Yeah, shout out to Olivia.
we love Olivia.
We love you, Olivia.
But she's like, also a kid, right? But like she kind of kept us light as well, because she also, I remember like for opening night, she was begging Justin, our director, to like do a cartwheel somewhere in the show. And so he was like, okay, opening night, when we take our vows, you can do a cartwheel. And she did. And it was so funny because we were like, came off stage and we're like, yay, we did it. And she was more like, I did a cartwheel. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that because the play deals with such, really sort of grapples with how can we rectify injustice, right? I think that levity that you're talking about, the sort of jokes, the camaraderie, the friendships, the family, the nourishment, right? All of those became really important to sort of buoy, right? So that even at the same time, so my sort of really intense quote that Awale beautifully read, which was about mourning, is that, it's about sort of balancing the grief, the sort of Asian grief with Asian joy, right? Like that in many ways that the two are like a ballast to each other. And I think this is a play that really sort of keeps trying, even at the same time as it goes like really deep and really dark and really intense, is also really very much a play about life and possibility and growth and tomorrow and youth, right? So one of the things that I think that those of you who are to our OSF audience are aware that when actors are part of the OSF company, they are cast in multiple shows. So they'll be in rehearsal while also performing, while also rehearsing. And I think, Will, you had a contract where this might be your only play, but I think Jessica, you were running around. So could you give us a little bit of insight into like what that was like, speaking French, then becoming an incredibly hungry ghost who then turns into a superhero? Just like talk to us a little bit about what that is, because I think it's one of the things that is so incredible about going to see shows at OSF is you get to see like the same actors performing such different characters, in the same day, afternoon, evening. But I think it would be really great to give a little bit of insight into like the process that goes into that.
Yeah, I mean, I felt so thankful for the year that I had, honestly, as busy and exhausting as it was, because I was also, as well as being in Snow, I also was in Henry V, directed by Rosa Josie that year. And I played Princess Catherine, the French princess, Montjoy, and the boy. And that was a very physical show as well. We're running around. I mean, a Rosa Josie show, you got it. You're going to get in there, you're moving things, you're like sprinting at full speed. And then, like I would literally sometimes have a matinee, a Snow matinee, or a Henry evening show, or Henry matinee, and then a Snow evening show. And it physically, it was really demanding, and I really had to take care of myself. I mean, ultimate self-care. I think that year was the year I really discovered my love of baths and Epsom salts. And but it was so amazing to be able to go back and forth from one show to the other, because they're so different. And I remember I would sometimes get those questions like in Q&As of like, how do you, keep it all organized, or how do you memorize the lines, and do you get the lines mixed up? And honestly, they're so different that it's hard to get anything mixed up between those shows. Like I wouldn't be quoting French during Tohi's monologue and vice versa. I mean, thankfully, the way the year was broken up, I started the year doing Henry V, and then we started rehearsals for Snow. I guess was it June or late May, and then we opened in August. So I was gonna say that once rehearsal stopped and we did the show, it got a little better, but no, it didn't. It didn't let up until the very end. And actually, for our closing for Snow, I also closed Henry the same day.
Wow.
So that was real. And like, you both know me, I love giving show gifts, and I made t-shirts for both shows as well. And so it was just a lot of like running around that whole day and just being like, oh God, it's over. And then I didn't know where I was the next day. But I don't know if that answered a lot of your question.
No, I mean, just like it's extraordinary to watch you do both, right? And excel at both. Now, I worked as the dramaturg, and oftentimes what ends up happening is like, I'm really only there for like previews and opening. And so then like the show takes on a life of its own as you perform it every night, every other night, matinee and evenings. And so I'd love to hear like either your favorite memory or something you discovered during the run of the show, as opposed to like what you discovered while we were like building and putting together the show. So when when Justin flew back to London, Frances headed back to Santa Barbara, and I went back to Providence, Rhode Island, what did you discover just, keeping this show running on the Bomer?
I think there's a beauty in having the opportunity to run the show for so long, through a course of a season, and I find that every year I'm up there performing like for every show, not just Snow in Midsummer, but just to have the opportunity to like dive deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, not like a specific moment, but just like in the character in general, just to be able to find more and about this person, and as the chemistry grows between you and your castmates, and that bond grows, everything just becomes so much richer, so much more textured. So I just love I love that kind of schedule. And this doesn't necessarily pertain to me, but one thing I did love watching, one thing I was able to observe sometimes is so one of the actors in it, Monique, is deaf, so we created a kind of a new language, and it's a new language for the show, that existed in this town that these workers were able to communicate with her in, and it's so much about choreography, and so like watching that language and movement develop, was just so beautiful to witness, and to see like how it just became so fluid and so fun, and and how well they just started like the picking it up and playing off each other through this new language that they created. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, VGC, visual gestural communication.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think also because especially those scenes in the bar is all about their camaraderie. So that can only deepen and grow as the show goes on and as more antics happen, and yeah, I feel like for myself too, just finding different things to play with every night, or a day or a matinee. And especially because in the beginning, I don't think I'm giving anything away, but I address the audience as Doyi and selling my wares, the little animals that I made. And I actually talked to individual audience members, and it's a gamble. Sometimes.
What's the most money you made?
I think someone gave me a $20 bill.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was huge. But, we had to give it back, of course. At intermission, I always gave it back to, our stage manager. But one audience member was like refused to give me. Wait, I think it was for the streaming.
This tape performance.
Yeah, because I was like, hey, it's not free.
Yeah,
I'm just giving it to you. Got to give me some money. And she was like, I think what she said to me was, like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have any bills on me or something, or something like that, and I don't have enough money, and so I think that's why I said like, oh, businesswoman to businesswoman, I get it. Gotta make your money.
I know. New sponsorship from a company you shouted out that I shall not repeat here.
What? Oh, I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, so that was fun to actually play with the audience every night and just kind of like change a little bit of like how I'm actually going to do the monologue. So that was pretty fun to do. Yeah.
That's awesome. So I wonder if perhaps like we can sort of, because we are coming close to time, but I'd love to hear perhaps like I'm going to give you two questions. You're welcome to pick either of them up. One is sort of a little bit bigger or heavier, and one is a little bit lighter, which is we're each zooming in from elsewhere, not Ashland, Oregon. And so what I would love to hear you speak about is, what do you miss about Ashland, Oregon? Given that the two of you have been multi-year company members, what is it about, Ashland as a home, as an artistic home, that you want to sort of name? And then the other sort of bigger question, which is sort of so huge, but I'm just going to put it out there, is I'd love to hear what it is that inspires you, especially because we're like in the midst of this, grand pause, right? As theaters have been shuttered for quite a bit of time, but we're also on the brink of them opening back up. So those are sort of my two prompts.
Major.
Yeah.
I don't know, Jess, do you want to start or shall I? Well, I can quickly answer the first one, which is, Ashland is about the people. I just miss and love the people there so much, especially my company mates. You just form these like beautiful relationships, and they got your back, and you do become a unit, and I just miss hanging out and working with all my friends up there. So I love you all if you're watching. And then to your second question, what inspires me? I've been working I've been doing a lot of these Zoom readings, productions. One of which was with a graduating class of MFAs. And I was thinking a lot about students and folks just going through transitions during this last year, especially moving to a new place, graduating MFA programs, like and this being their graduating year into this huge unknown. But the fact that they stick with it inspires me so much, that we love this art form so much. We love this form of storytelling so much that we are willing to continue despite a pandemic, despite the unknowns, to give it our all, because we see the power in theater. And I the quote I shared with Awele earlier to share with everyone, in talks about in our isolation, we tend to kind of gravitate towards things we know. But I love theater because it ventures into territories we don't know about. It exposes us to so much new ideas, so many new worlds, and I miss that, and that inspires me to want to create and share those stories more.
I don't know how to follow that. I agree with Will too. Just to answer your first question, that Ashland is definitely made up by its people and who the company is, and I miss that sense of community, and also because we also lived either with or near each other. So a lot of times, you could just like knock on each other's door and be like, hey, what are you doing? Or, and I think when I was away from Ashland, when the pandemic started, a lot of people were still up there that I knew, like a lot of my friends, and, they just started creating art together. And I was like, that's the beauty of what that community is, that you are a community no matter where you are, no matter even if you're employed or not, and I will say, I still keep in touch with Will and Amy, and I mean Christine, with you, I just worked with you on something, and so I feel like that's, even if we may not be physically in Ashland, we take the community wherever we are with us, and we also bring each other on projects. And I feel like a lot of my employment this past year was because of OSF people that thought of me. For Snow in Midsummer, my director, Rosa Josie, for As You Like It, and for Henry V from OSF, she's asking me to talk on a panel, and also teach something to her students. And, and I think that's what keeps me inspired too, to answer your second question. And also another big project I'm working on is with another OSF company member, Numuna Sise, and she started the Blueprint, which is an all BIPOC-led training program for BIPOC emerging artists. And I think at a time, especially the reckoning that we've had in America and in American theater, to be able to be in a Zoom room, because we're also from all parts of the country, that we can come together and really dream what the future can be for ourselves, for future artists, for young artists that are coming up. And something that what I love was something that I loved about being at OSF too, and doing the shows that we did, especially Snow in Midsummer, and being a Korean French princess in Henry V, is that I would have young Asian American girls come up to me and tell me, like, oh God, okay, I knew I was gonna cry at some point. It's happening now. But they would come up to me and tell me what inspiration I was to just see me on stage. They felt like they were seeing themselves, and that, even though I may not be on that stage right now, I just feel like that's what keeps me going, that I can't quit now, even if the pandemic may have forced me to stop working. But no matter what, we are artists, and you can't keep us down.
Yeah. That was wonderful, Jess and Will. Thank you so much. So I think Whaley's back with us. Welcome.
Thank you. I have quite a few comments for you and a few questions. And one question that we can quickly answer for someone who got here late, they would like to know, where are you all located right now? We'll start with that one.
Okay, I'll jump in. I'm zooming in from the traditional homelands of the Narragansett, also known as Providence, Rhode Island.
And I'm speaking to you from what is known as Los Angeles right now, and traditionally known as the Chumash and Tongva people.
And I am zooming in from Ohlone Land, also known as San Francisco.
Cool. Thank you. Next question. Can we see Will and Jessica live anytime soon? And Will,
come on over.
There's a second part. Will, you have to show the dog.
What?
Nova's already famous.
I know, Nova's famous. She's somewhere. I maybe later. I don't know where she is.
Follow her on Instagram.
So what's coming up next for you live?
Oh, what's coming up for? Oh man.
Can we see Will and Jessica live anytime soon?
Live?
Like
producers, you need to cast Will and Jessica live together. That is what we're saying.
There you go. Please give us jobs.
Yeah, there are a lot of a lot of virtual performances. You can find out more at willdow.com.
There you go. Okay. What have the actors been able to do during shutdown? Next question from Stephen.
Like Will was saying, a lot of Zoom, performances. And actually, this past summer in August, I was in a production of Fefu and Her Friends that was directed by Nancy Rodriguez, another OSF company member, and included other OSF company members in there as well, like Jamie and Romero and Laura Medica. And it was just a really beautiful, beautiful time. I mean, that is something that I really do enjoy about those those Zoom performances, right? To be able to do that and still be in like crazy different parts of the country. Yeah.
Okay. This is a question from Rob. I desperately need new reading material. Being a virgin play reader, what do you recommend Shakespearean I could wrap my mind around?
Well, I can actually put in a plug. So this is going to be coming out later this year, Francis Cowig's trilogy. It's called Francis Yachu Cowig's China Trilogy. Oh my God, why am I blanking on it? Three Parables of Global Capitalism, and it'll be out at Bloomsbury. And it's basically the three plays: Snow in Midsummer, World of Extreme Happiness, and King of Hell's Palace. So actually, it's available for pre-order. So I'd highly recommend that if you like the epic Shakespearean scale that Francis's work harnesses, then you should definitely pick those up.
Okay. And I'm going to say, Rob, if you're looking for something Shakespearean and you want to stay with what's happening at OSF, Comedy of Errors will be coming up in June, so you can wrap your mind around that play. And then also the Cymbeline project is coming up. And so something that's not performed quite frequently. So if you want to take a look at that. One last question for the group. Where do y'all get your Asian snacks? Are there actually Asian supermarkets in Ashland? I remember one Ashland farmers market vendor who sold delicious kimchi. That's from Tess.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's that mom and pop Korean store in Medford.
Yeah. What was that called?
Oh my gosh.
Was it just
You got
called,
a
like,
lot of poke
Asian
from there.
Mart or something like that?
Yes, I feel like it was literally called like Asia Mart.
Asia Mart.
It was next to Winco. I remember that. And I would get, actually, if you want really good kimchi, that place had amazing homemade kimchi made by the wife of the owner.
Yeah, and they have like Asian snack or Asian ingredients from like across the diaspora.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, well, here's a funny story. One of the things that we would love to do is like when we had breaks from shows, from our show schedule, if I would ever drive down to San Francisco, I would always make it a point to bring back pork pies. And it would be called like what do we call it? Like the Asian food train or something like that. So if any of us went to a major city, we were like, okay, here's my list. Like, please.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, and then there's one question I saved in the chat for you, Will, to see if you would like to answer it. I'm going to lift up a few shout outs from the audience in Facebook. Loved Will and Viet Gone, and Jessica and Hannah and the Dread Gazebo too. This is from Diane. Oh, I do wish they would stream Viet Gone. Stephen, Snow In Midsummer is fantastic. And another guest, I stumbled upon your awesome conversation. I'm enjoying it very much. Stephen, it made the father's response make a lot of sense, having the son say he was gay. Susie says, hi, Susie Wynn. I love thinking about this play about you and about
mom. Little girl mom.
Yeah.
I love thinking about this play about youth and about seeing the story through the young girl's eyes. I love thinking about Snow in Midsummer. It's a beautiful play. And then from Diane, I'm enjoying some of the stories as it brings back memories from seeing it. I can't wait to watch it tomorrow night. And Rob, theater is cool, dude. Awesome. I'm going to see if there are any more things that you would like to discuss, Christine, before we come to a close.
Well, I feel like Rob, hit the nail on the ham. I'm just gonna mix up so many metaphors. Yeah, I mean, really, I hope everybody is able to get a chance. You have it's streaming through the end of the month. You get to catch Will and Jess in their actually your costumes are fantastic in the show. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even Will, even the wind, you get a windbreaker, which generally we think of as a boring article of clothing, but it's actually extraordinary, magical, theater magical. Yes.
Oh yes.
It's a character in and of itself.
Yeah. So I think the thing that's sort of hard that we are sort of constantly sort of doing really bizarre maneuvers around is that in each of the scenes, and this is sort of like a testament to both like Francis's playwriting, but also the very genre conventions of a detective story or a ghost story, is there's always like something, some twist, some surprise, something, some trick, some horror, something. And so the three of us are contorting in order to explain that.
Yeah. And shout out
So
to
I
Helen
want
Fong,
to,
who did the costumes.
oh, thank you for saying that. I want to thank each and every one of you for being a guest on Art Talk. It's been delightful having you here. There are lots more chat remarks about Viet Cong and kind of come back. So we'll find out. We'll have to put that out there. So thank you all. I want to do a few shout outs before I close out. So streaming on Snow in Midsummer runs through May 29th. So get your tickets soon. You can have a watch party if you would like. Also, right now running is Black Feminist Video Games, running live stream through the 16th of May, and then on demand next week, May 17th through the 23rd. Fabulous, fun, interactive ride for PG-16 and adults. Coming up is the AAPI Heritage Month panel, Breaking Stereotypes and Advancing Asian Artistic Leaders. And we look forward to you joining us back for that show, May 24th.